Hello and welcome back to another episode of Geek with Glasses. Most of you out there who watch the show know that I'm a pretty hardcore gamer. I do a lot of gaming in my downtime amongst a bunch of my other hobbies, including making these videos for you guys. And I've had a gaming computer that has been working and running flawlessly for me for the past 2 years, playing all the games that I've been playing at frame rates that are more than enjoyable. And just recently some games are coming out that are starting to tax the system. So as opposed to building a whole new rig or buying a pre-manufactured rig, I decided I wanted to just do an upgrade to my video card. So my video card that I've been running for the past 2 years is a 590 GTX by Nvidia. And it's been a wonderful card. It's actually got 2 GPUs on it, so it's kind of like running 2 individual cards in SLI, but all on a single board. I've done some research and I wanted to get into a new card that wasn't going to cost me an arm and a leg or the cost of a computer. So I went out and I got myself a EVGA 780 GTX. And let's open this bad boy up and see what we get in it. We'll stay tuned for a couple of comparisons between my 590 and my 780 when it comes to performance and spec-wise. But let's open this box up and we'll spat out some numbers and statistics for you. Stay tuned. All right, so here we have it, the EVGA classified GeForce GTX 780. This card comes with 3 gigabytes of GDDR5 memory on it. Double BIOS, not actually sure what double BIOS is. We'll figure that out later and I'll append the information in the show notes. And this system has what they call their ACX or Active Cooling Extreme cooler on the graphics card. What that allows EVGA to do is take this card to the next level with factory overclocking. So a stock GTX 780 comes in at around 820, 830-ish megahertz base clock speed. And again, I'll have all the exact information off of the NVIDIA website in the show notes. But what they have done with this new cooling system to do thermal control is allow them to overclock this card to run at 993 megahertz with a boost capability of 1046 megahertz or 1 gigahertz worth of base clock frequency on the graphics card, which gives us really good performance and should be a huge boost over my outgoing 590 GTX. The system has 3 gigs of RAM that run at 384 bits GDR and run at 288 gigabits per second. So this graphics card is optimized. And there's a bunch of different manufacturers. Asus makes cards, EVGA makes cards. There's a bunch of different companies that make these graphics cards. I went ahead and did a little bit of research, and I don't plan on additionally overclocking over the factory overclocking. And this one came in as the highest overclock from the factory. There are other cards that you can overclock a little bit more, but I went ahead and just grabbed this one because I'm not going to do a whole heck of a lot of tweaking outside of what the factory has already done. So you're going to need at least a 600 watt power supply for this graphics card to run, and it does run PCI Express 2 and 3 motherboards with a single graphics slot, and then it's got 2 8-pin PCI connectors on the system, Windows 8, Windows 7, Windows XP. On the other side, just a bunch of literature about how EVGA is #1, blah, blah, blah. So this graphics card does have 4 ports on the back. You'll see that it has dual fans with their ACX cooling system. There's a bunch of heat sinks on here and dual fans on the card. We have a display port, an HDMI, a DVI-I, and a DVI-D graphics port. So you could technically plug 4 different monitors into this graphics card and drive 4 monitors off of this. Key features, NVIDIA TXAA technology, GPU boost. That's where we get that 1 gigahertz speed by the boost. There's obviously the PhysX, FXAA, adaptive vertical sync technology, NVIDIA Surround, so on and so forth. Let's get into this and see what it looks like, and then we're going to actually go upgrade the card that is in our existing system and run some benchmarks. I've already run benchmark 3D Mark 11 on my 590. And I have those scores, and I'll definitely be putting those scores in the show notes as well as in this video, so stay tuned for that. So let me get rid of the plastic on the outside, get into the side here, and see about their packaging. All right, so let's pull out the top. All right, so what we have here are going to be power cords. So these are the power cords so that you can run power to the card if you don't already have a system that has power. So we've got a couple of power cords to run from your chassis power supply in. Got a couple of them here. So, and this card is, you can run this SLA. There is a single GPU on this card, but you can install a secondary one of these graphics cards and run two concurrently. But also, this is cool. It actually comes with a DVI to VGA adapter. So if you don't have a VGA monitor, a DVI monitor, which I do, you can actually just use the old school analog VGA and adapt it so that you can plug it in. So that's cool that they actually include one of those with it. Important notice, not sure what this comes with. GFIRA cooling, aftercooler, we have included non-conductive film to apply to your aftermarket heatsink. Okay, so if you're doing any additional cooling, they give you a thermal paste tape to put on there. Important message about the double BIOS. All right, so I will take a look at this and see exactly what this means. Switching BIOSes, I find that interesting that it's got two BIOSes, but I'll find out a little bit more about that. Then it comes with a driver, and it actually has a nice little pin here, powered by EVGA. You can put that on your computer, stick it on the outside if you're into that kind of thing. I'm not. And then it has a getting started guide, so your basic information to install the graphics card and make it run. I'm basically going to open my chassis, pop out my old card, pop in the new card, and reboot. They're both Nvidia cards. They use the same driver packs. So let's see. We got a couple of enthusiast-built stickers, so we can stick some stickers on our chassis if we want. And then it looks like we've got a big poster here. I wonder what the poster is. My son will like this. He'll probably put it up in his room. Let's see what it is. Game of Pwns. All right, there we go. Nice EVGA gaming poster came with it. Yeah, like I said, my son will love this. He's huge into Skyrim, so this goes with that theme. He will definitely put this up in his room. So it comes with those things. Let's set this junk aside. That's not what I care about. What I care about is gaming performance. So let's pull out the graphics card and set that down. It's nice plastic foam. Here's looks like a cutout of the graphics card with the EVGA logo in it. And here is the card. This is in here nice and snug. I like the way they ship this pretty much to a point where you can't get it out. All right, let's pry this bad boy out. There we go. Set this aside, and here it is. There's not much to see. I mean, it's a graphics card at this point, but I definitely want to show it to you. All right. It is a beast. It is heavy. So there we have dual fans. You can see the heat sinks in there. Got some plastic. This will need to come off to protect the outside of the card. There we go. So you've got your GeForce 780 classified branding, the EVGA branding on the top. I actually like the casing of this is really nice. You can see these really big heat sinks along the top. Here's where we'll plug our power in. This is for SLA. One of these two are for SLA. And then on the back, it's just the rest of the design. That's it. So that is the card. I like the fact that it comes with little port blocks for the ports that you're not using, so dust doesn't accumulate in there. So I'll be using the DVI. I'll be plugging my monitor into there. And that is it. That is the EVGA. So let's go put this in. Stay tuned. All right, so what you're looking at right here is GPUboss.com, and we are doing a direct comparison of the Nvidia GTX 780 on the left. So the numbers on the left in that center column are the 780, and the numbers on the right are the outgoing 590 GTX, which I've been running for about 2 years in my system. So as you can see, there's some pass mark scores, and then there are some actual benchmarkings, but more importantly, there's some actual statistics of numbers for how the unit will perform, the clock rate, the boost rates, and some of the other actual numbers for the two different cards being compared side by side. And so you can see on the very far right column, it tells you, the pass mark score is 55% better over the 590 on the GTX 780, and they're 75% faster in effective memory, so on and so forth, 20% higher. So what does this all mean? Well, if we actually look at the next slide here, the 590 GTX, it is going to come in at a 3D Mark score of P8467. And so 8,467 on my my i7 930 processor. That's the GTX 590. And if you look at the bottom there, essentially it's saying that this machine is better than 68% of the compared systems that are similar in this environment. So if we actually boost on over and we take a look at the GTX 780, you'll notice that our 3D Mark significantly increases to 11,015 just by replacing the graphics card. And you'll notice now Same processor, obviously, same exact computer, just change the graphics card. But now we're getting 11,015, which is showing that we are 94% better than all of the other results out there. So there is a massive difference between the 590 and the 780. And let's take a look at the direct comparisons between the two. Okay, and so you can see here on the left we have the 590 GTX, on the right we have the 780 GTX. The scores, the 3D Mark score numbers are at the top. You can scroll down, you can see everything's running the same version of 3D Mark. Down where you see the graphics card, there's one thing that's a little bit deceiving here. You'll notice under the core clock speed that the 780 is showing a 575, and I don't understand why it actually showed a 575. That's even slower than the factory or reference card. My card is actually running at over 900 megahertz with a boost of over 1,000 megahertz, and I think that was shown earlier in the other statistics. But with that said, let's jump on over and actually see the difference between the two and the numbers that they put down. So here we go. We can see actual frame rates. You get down to graphics test 1, 2, 3, and 4. And again, I ran this with the basic version of 3D Mark, the free version of 3D Mark. So it's all defaults, but you can see significantly higher. Graphics test 1, there's over 20 frames per second faster. Graphics 2, same, 20 frames per second. 20, almost 30 frames per second in the graphics 3. The physics test, not that much of a difference, because the physics test is more dependent on the CPU, and the CPU didn't change between the two. It's not using the GPU to do too much of the physics work on this specific test. And again, the combined test, which they put graphic testing and the CPU testing for the physics together, and you can see that there's not a huge change. But there you have it. There is a direct comparison between the 590 and the 780 GTX on my system. I could tell that this one little boost of around $550 or so is going to definitely make my gaming computer last me a couple of more years, and I can stretch out my dollar instead of going and spending $1,000 or $1,500 or $1,600 or even $2,000 on a new gaming rig, new graphics card, and we're good to go. So as always, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, facebook.com/geekwithglasses, twitter.com/geekwithglasses, and you can find us on Google Plus with the new Google Plus names, and I believe it's Google Plus or whatever the URL is for Google Plus /users and Geek with Glasses. Thanks a lot and have a great day.